weekend with us for the first observatory and astronomy discussion, or as we usually call it, DOA, DOA. Looking at the screen, it is truly beautiful to see people from different countries, universities, and backgrounds sitting together today. It reminds us that our curiosity about the stars and the night sky is something we all share, no matter where we came from. Today is all about sharing knowledge, opening our minds, and building a friendly bridge of learning between our nation. Before we get into our exciting topic, I would like to extend our warmest and most respectful greetings to the head of Observatory of Islamic Astronomy, Ilmu Falak, Universitas Muhammadiyah Sumatera Utara, Mr. Dr. Arwin Juli Rahmadi Butar-Butar, and Mr. Arwin conveys that Mr. Arwin convey to Miss Princess warm greetings, and he will join us in a moment. And also the leadership and the lectures of Islamic Astronomy Department, Prodi Ilmu Falak UMSU, who are always passionate about advancing astronomy education, and the entire team, the researchers behind the scenes at Observatory UMSU, who work hard to make today's event possible. And of course, a big warm hello to all of our participants, lecturers, students, and astronomy lovers from Indonesia, Philippines, and beyond. Now, it is an absolute joy to welcome our special guest speaker joining us virtually all the way from the Philippines. A very warm welcome to Ms. Princess B. Tusio. She is an academic instructor from the Department of Earth and Space Science at Rizal Technological University, Philippines. Good morning, Ms. Princess. Princess, we are incredibly happy to have you with us for the 41st Observatory Astronomy discuss. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to share your wonderful research and passion with our community today. We really hope this online gathering is just the beginning of a great friendship and academic collaboration between our institutions. And today we are diving into a fascinating area called cultural astronomy or ethnoastronomy. We are not going to talk about heavy formulas or complicated physics. Instead, we are going to talk about people and how traditional communities read the signs and the sky. Our topic is Balatik, right, Miss Princess? Balatik,
Yes.
Indigenous Astronomy and Culture. And before I hand over the microphone, let me briefly introduce the brilliant mind behind today's topic. We read it in Indonesia because most of the audience are Indonesian. Jadi hari ini teman-teman sekalian, pemateri kita namanya Miss Princess B. Tusio. Saat ini menjabat sebagai dosen akademik di Departemen Ilmu Bumi dan Antariksa di Rizal Teknologi University RTU. Beliau memiliki latar belakang akademik yang sangat kuat di bidang astronomi dengan gelar sarjana teknologi astronomi, diploma, serta magister sains dalam bidang astronomi dari universitas yang sama. Saat ini beliau sedang menempuh pendidikan tinggi sebagai mahasiswa doktoral PhD dalam bidang data science di ASEAN Institute of Management. Fokus riset utama beliau berakar kuat pada bidang cuaca antariksa, kemudian astrofisika dan data science. Nah, hal yang membuat kehadiran beliau hari ini semakin menarik yaitu rekam jejak pengalaman beliau ini lebih luas di bidang etnoastronomi atau astronomi budaya, yang beliau telah menerbitkan berbagai jurnal ilmiah, termasuk analisis etnoastronomi yang sangat menarik mengenai cerita rakyat Filipina. Selain itu, beliau juga aktif berpartisipasi dalam berbagai pelatihan dan lokakarya internasional di Asia hingga Eropa, seperti International School for Young Astronomers di Tiongkok, dan kursus astronomi khusus di Spanyol. Dengan kombinasi yang luar biasa antara keahlian astronomi budaya dan ilmu data modern yang beliau miliki, ya kita yakin akan mendapatkan wawasan yang sangat berharga dan membuka mata pada kuliah umum hari ini. And alright, everyone, Miss Princess will present her material for about 40 minutes, Miss. And right after that, we will jump straight into our interactive Q&A session. For the participant, to keep our virtual room comfortable for everyone, please keep your microphones on mute during the presentation. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the Zoom chat box. And dear Miss Princess, we are so excited to hear your story and learn from today. The virtual floor is yours. Please take it away.
Thank you for the introduction. So I would just like to share my screen. Am I audible?
Sorry, Miss?
Am I
Yes,
audible?
yes, you are. Yeah, you are.
Yes, yes.
We can hear you clearly.
All right.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see.
Thank you. So again, good morning everyone, and what an honor it is to be here among the Indonesian scholars and colleagues whose own traditions of reading the night sky are among the most sophisticated in all of the Southeast Asia. So today I share with you a Filipino story about the stars, but as we will discover together, it is only not a Filipino story, but it is your story too. So this presentation actually from the landmark scholarship of Dr. Dante L. Ambrosio, whose book Balatic Ethnoastronomy, the Sky and the Filipino Civilization was published by the University of the Philippines Press in 2010 and translated into English by Dr. Jesus Rodrigo Torres and Dr. Ruby and de la Cruz in 2021. So yeah, let us begin, and not with the stars, but with the land from the which Filipino first look up to them. So the Philippines is an archipelago of 7,641 islands. So a figure that sounds large until you compare it to the Indonesia's 17,000 islands and immediately recognize we are neighbors in the fullest sense. So I want to call these both nations are the children of the sea. So the Philippines sits entirely within the tropical belt and between approximately the 5 degrees and 21 degrees north latitude. So this geographic fact matters deeply for our discussion since Dr. Ambrosius opened his book of Balatic with an observation that sets the foundation for everything that follows, which is the Philippines belongs to the tropical region. So from this location, the whole sky can be observed from north to south. And from the Philippine shore and from the Indonesian shores, we can see both the Big Dipper in the north and the Southern Cross in the south. So the constellation Orion passes almost directly overhead near the zenith. So this is a sky that the Western astronomy written from their northern latitudes, which is never fully captured because observers in Berlin and London can never see what we see from here. So there are three great island groups of the Philippine territory. The first one is Luzon in the north. So this is home for Tagalog, Ilocano, Kapampangan, Bicol, and highlight Cordillera peoples. At the center is what we call the Visayas. This is the home for the Cebuano, Hiligaynon, and Waray. The last one is Mindanao, which is located in the south. So the Tiduray, Manobo, Maranao, Maguindanao, Sama, and Bajau. So each island group, each people, each culture, which has their own names for the same stars we know. So as you can see here in this slide, here is the scale of what Dr. Ambrosio was working with when he began his research. So the Philippines has more than 185 indigenous and ethno-linguistic groups speaking approximately 180 languages and dialects across the 7,641 islands, this is over 3,000 years of Austronesian heritage. So as you see or look at the grid before you, in every entry there is a people with their own name for the stars. So in Tagalog, they called Orion's belt the Balatic. The Tiduray people of Cotabato called the same stars as Saritar, and from the Bukidnon people, they called it Magbanggal, while the Jama Mapun of Tawi-Tawi called them Batik. So, and yet all this diversity, the two constellations transcend every linguistic and cultural boundary. The Balatic and Moroporo, so in every major ethnic group here in the Philippines, recognize them. So in every group, there is the same purpose. So the convergence is the heart of the Ambrosius argument. So the magnificent diversity of the Philippine civilization, there is a shared astronomical heritage rooted in the same Austronesian migration that also carried your ancestors through Borneo, Sulawesi, Java, and Bali. So before we go any further into the Filipino sky, I want to pause and acknowledge something that I believe is the most important frame for this entire presentation. So I'll look at the two columns on the left side, which is in the Philippines, and the right side is Indonesia. So as you can see here, there is a 7,641 islands from the Philippines and 17,000 islands from the Indonesian topology. So and also 185 ethnic groups, 300 ethnic groups, the 180 languages, as well as in the Indonesian, the 700 languages. So as you can see here, our countries are both located in the tropical belt, and we are both Austronesians. So the Filipino name for Orion is Balatic, which is what we call the hunting trap. The next is the Indonesian name for the same stars is Waluku. So this is, I think, on your end is what we call the rice field glow. So you may want to correct these terms, as this is based on the published papers I read in the Google Scholar. So again, the Filipino name for the Pleiades is the Moroporo. So we call it the boiling lights, while the Javanese call them the Lintang Kartika, which is meaning the stars of stars, as well as the Mandaris call them Rowot. So the both Filipinos and Indonesians see the Milky Way as a naga, so as a sky serpent. And we also respond to eclipses with the same ancient tradition rooted in the Indian Rahu demon that traveled through the Austronesian world. So we call the moon Bulan, the stars is Bintang, the sky is Langit, and the wind for Angin. So now when I stand before you today, I speak about Balatic. I am not presenting a foreign tradition, but I am holding up a mirror. So the sky I am describing is the same sky above you right now. So with the foundation in place, let me formally introduce the field that makes this work possible, which is what we call the ethnoastronomy. So Ambrosio defines it through the central question of his entire study, which is how did the native civilization shape a part of its environment, which is the sky, and how did the sky in turn to contribute to the shaping of the native civilization. So for this one, this is a bidirectional relationship. So we have three things that happening simultaneously. The first one is early peoples were aware of the sky as part of their natural environment. The next is the sun, moon, stars, eclipses, and the Milky Way, and even the wind, the rain, and the thunder, so were all sky. So there was no separation between the astronomy and meteorology. So for our Indonesian colleagues who are working on Pranata Mangsa, this will be immediately familiar because the ancient Javanese agricultural calendar triangulates the position of Orion and Pleiades with the sun's position, bird migration patterns, insect calls, and leaf fall from the leaf fall from the specific trees, which are all in one unified ecological knowledge system. The second one is the what we call the culture that was projected onto the sky. So the Filipino hunters saw the hunting traps in Orion, as well as the Filipino fishermen saw the fish traps in the Big Dipper. Also, in the Japanese rice farmers, they saw a plow. The Balinese sailors saw a boat in Big Dipper, which is they called perahu, and each culture placed its most important tools and heroes into the stars. So the sky became the mirror of the civilization. The last one would be the shape of civilization in return. So it dictated when to plant, when to fish, when to sail, as the Dr. Ambrosio written in his book that the Filipinos link the very rhythm of their lives to the rhythm set in the movement of the sun, moon, stars, and the wind. While the Manduris, Bugis, and Mandar of Indonesia did exactly the same thing, which is a fact that is documented by the authors such as Fatima, Orchestron, and Hidayat, which is recently in 2021 who found that Manduris villagers are still respond to eclipses in traditional ways as of today. So who was the man who gave the Filipinos back their stars? So this is the image you saw in this slide is Dr. Dante Laksaman Ambrosio. So he was born on July 15, 1951 and was a professor of history at the University of the Philippines. So he is a ethnologist, a observer, and liver activist. So he is a rare combination of a rigorous scholar and committed citizen. And also, Dr. Ambroso's passion for the sky began on a rooftop in Malabon. So he is a student at the Philippine Science High School in 1966, and his siblings would climb to the roof to stargaze. He also spoke Tatlong Maria, or what we call the three stars, which is located in Orion's belt. So this is in Tagalog folk tradition, we call that. And as well as the Supot ni Judas, which is the Judas pouch. So this in Western astronomy, this is called Pleiades. So however, those names were Christian names, which is with colonial overlays. So the deeper question that consumed Dr. Ambrosio is, what did the Filipinos call them stars before the before the Spaniards arrived? So the answer required decades of field work, which is the most significant is he conducted 4 research trips to Tawi-Tawi, the southern most provinces or the southernmost province of the Philippines, which is bordering Indonesia's Sulu Sea between 1995 and 2000. He sat with the elder called Sama and Bajau elders. So they are recording astronomical knowledge that existed only in the living memory. He also understand the stakes that when when the elder dies without passing on their star knowledge, the knowledge dies with them. So Dr. Ambrosio was passed away on June 4, 2011, and the Balatic or his work was translated in English in 2021 by Professor Torres and Professor De La Cruz, and this translation is why we can have this conversation today. So across the languages and across the borders, however, we are on the same or we are under on the same stars. So the connection of the Philippine and the Indonesian sky knowledge is not accidental. So it has a name, it has a history, and it has a date. As you can see here, around 4000 BCE, the Austronesian-speaking peoples began their expansion from the southern China, crossing first to Taiwan. By 3000, they had reached the northern Luzon. By 1500 BCE, they had reached Borneo, Sulawesi, and the Moluccas, which would become the Indonesia now. So by 2000, a shared maritime civilization flourished across what the Javanese would later call Nusantara, or the other name is Island Realm. So as you can see here, we look at the same shared sky words on the right slide, which is for us, langit in Tagalog, same langit in Indonesia, bulan for moon, star is bintang, and naga, which is the Milky Way, what we call our the sky serpent, and the wind, which is we call both angin. So these are not borrowing. So these words and these civilizations, or this uh culture, is the inheritance. So they traveled together in the boats of the Austronesians, carried across the sea alongside the knowledge of how to read the stars that guided the same boats. So in the archaeological confirmation, which is as you can see here, the Manunggul jar. So this jar found in a cave in Palawan and dated to 890 to 700 BCE. So which is more than, at least I think that was 2000 plus years ago. So this is shows that a boat with two figures, one paddling, one reclining in death. So it is the soul being ferried to the afterlife. So by the sea with a boat, the maritime universe of the Filipino was already fully formed before Pythagoras was born. So now we arrive at the heart of this presentation, which is Balatic. So 3 stars, perfectly aligned, evenly spaced. So you know them well from the Indonesian latitudes and as from the Philippine latitudes. So these stars pass almost directly overhead. So the Orion lies on its side in the tropical sky. So it is what the Dr. Ambrosio writes in his book, which is the most prominent constellation in the Philippine sky, and I think I would agree. I would argue in yours as well. So, what is Balatic? So on Earth, it is a hunting trap, specifically a spring-loaded spear trap used by Philippine hunters to catch wild boar. And the two bamboo poles planted in the ground is an X-shape, a strong vine string holding a sharpened arrow, which is a trigger vine laid across the forest path. So when the animal trips to the trigger, the arrow springs and strikes. So in the sky, the trap appears. So there are 4 outer stars of Orion, which is what we call Rigel, Betelgeuse, the Sipe, and Bellatrix. So from the poles, the 3 bright stars, inline stars, are what we call the Orion's belt, which was named the Alnilam, Mintaka, Alnitak. So these are from the arrow, the Urub, the Kak, and the Ready. And and also, Dr. Ambrosio establishes this is the definitively pre-Hispanic, since the Spanish friar San Buenaventura, writing in 1613, recorded the word Balatic in Tagalog vocabulary. So it is identifying it as both hunting trap and as the Tres Marias asterism. So the trap and the stars are already shared a name when the Spaniards arrived. So as you can see here, in the third column, this is the Indonesia's tradition. Since the Javanese farmers look at the same three stars and so Aplo, which is they called it Waluku or Weluku. So because their civilization was built on a rice agriculture, not on forest hunting. So the Sandanese called it Bintang Wuluku, the pitchfork stars, and the Balinese and Nandoris called it Tenggala or Tenggale, so which is again Aplo. So we have the same stars, we have the same agricultural function, even if we have a different tool because the ancestors of Indonesians plowed rice fields, while the us in the Philippines, the forest dwellers set up traps for wild boar. So these two civilization is reflected in the name that is the genius of the ethnoastronomy. So what you can see here is the two images that was captured using a telescope and camera in our university, which is Rizal Technological University. And the left side image was captured by yours truly using only a mobile phone that was captured when we were in Batangas. So, as you can see here in this slide, the table brings together the complete record of Orions in indigenous names. So, the Philippine entries in the upper rows and the Indonesian is in the lower rows, shaded in red. So, as you can see here, notice the pattern in the Philippine frames names, which is Balatik, Bayatik, Belatic, and Batik. So, which are spoke in a different dialects, however, with the same root and the same meaning, which is the trap. The next is the Seritar, which is what we call the Orion in the language of Teduray, which is a hunter, Magbanggal, the in Bukidnon hero who went to the sky to become a guide for star farming. And in Indonesian tradition, the Waluku, Weluku, which is what the Javanese called it Aplo, the Bintang Wuluku, the Sandanese pitchfork, the Tenggala or Tenggale, the plow across the Bali and Madura, the Lintang Kindang, the deer star of the Sandanese, which is Orion's belt specifically. So they use a wooden calculation device and called it a collinear to determine the stars of the new agricultural year. So with these different names, different tools, however, with the same empirical observation, these stars govern the farming of the year. So now, Balatic never appeared alone in the Filipino sky. Accompanying it always was its sister constellation, which is the Moroporo. So the Philippine name which is the Philippine name, but in the Western name, we are calling these stars a Pleiades. So, as you can see here in the left column, the diversity of Filipino names for this star cluster is extraordinary. The Mapulon in early Tagalog, Molopolo in Hiligaynon and Bukidnon, and Moroporo in Bicol and Panay, Murupuro in Antique, and among the Tagbanwa of Palawan, they call it Kufu, which is swarming flies among in the Tiduray. So the mopo, which is actually a pig among the Jama Mapon of Tawi-Tawi. The last name here is particularly significant because Ambrosio argues that this name is pre-Islamic because once the Jama Mapon converted into Islam, the eating pork was forbidden. So only a pre-Islamic Filipinos would have named a star after a pig. So now on the right side column, the Javanese call them Pleiades or Lintang Kartika, which is again the stars of stars. So a name that reveals just how important this cluster was in the Javanese cosmology. So when the Pleiades reach 50 degrees above the horizon, it signals the Mangsakapi 2, the seventh sun or the seventh season rather of the Pranata Mangsa calendar. So this is wherein the time to transplant the rice seedlings into the main field. Another is the Sundanese called them the Bentang Kurti, sorry, which is the garden. So together with Orion's Bentang Wuluku, the rising of both signals the dry season onset and the beginning of the agricultural year. So the last one here is the Javanese Jakataru, which is the legend, as they say. So the story of a farmer who captures one of the seven heavenly nymphs bathing on earth. So they said that these names are the Pleiades. So the story is different from the Philippines myth. So, but the recognition is identical. So these are the seven important stars, which is what we call the seven sisters. So the ones that matter for human life as quoted in the book of Dr. Ambrosio. So beyond the Balatic and Moroporo, the shared sky extend much further. As you can see here, the Filipino bubu, which is the Big Dipper, seen as a fish trap by the Sam of Tawi-Tawi, finds the Indonesian cousin in Balinese, Perahu, which is, they call it the Big Dipper, seen as a boat. So both are maritime peoples. However, both look at the same seven stars and saw the tools in their livelihood. And also in the southern location, which is what we call the Southern Cross. This is called buntal, which is a puffer fish by the people of Tawi-Tawi. So this is called bintang pari or the stingray stars by the Bugis and Mandar of Sulawesi, where it serves as the primary south-bearing compass for the ocean navigation. The most striking here is the Naga row, which is the Filipinos, the Sama Tausug Maranao identify this as the Milky Way. So the serpent, the sky serpent whose changing orientation through the year guides the house building. And across the Indonesians, the Java, Bali, and Sulawesi use the name Naga tradition for exactly the same purpose. The same serpent, the same sky, and the same house. So the Bugis of Sulawesi had perhaps, I think, the most sophisticated dark sky reading in the region because the absence of bimbis or what they call the goat, which is the coal sack nebula, a dark patch in the Milky Way, was used to forecast calm weather for sailing. They were reading not the star, but the darkness between them. So this slide places a two systems side by side. So I want you to look it carefully because what you are seeing here is not a comparison between the different traditions. You are seeing the same tradition evolve independently on a different islands of the same Austronesian world. So as you can see here, on the left side, which is the Tiduray Star Calendar of Mindanao, documented by anthropologist Stuart Skigel in 1967. So as you can see, the 6-star groups, so each one signals a specific stage in the Kaingin cycle. When the Ceritar, their Orion enters the Kimuda, which is the 20-degree cycle above 23 uh 20-degree circle around the zenith, and it is time to begin the clearing of the land. As well as when the Kufu-Kufu or the Pleiades enters the Ranga zone, so it confirms that the clearing schedule. So when the Singkad or what we call the Aquila appears in the early morning, so in approaching. So this is not astrology, but this is a precise, repeatable, empirical observation refined over generations. And as you can see on the right side, the Pranata Mangsa, which is the Javanese agricultural calendar, the Mangsa Kaso, the first season, begins with Orion, which is the Waluku. This is the starts to rise. So the Mangsa Karo, the second season, when Orion is prominent and it is time to burn the stable. Next is the Mangsa Katelu, the third season, when the Pleiades or the Lintang Kartika become visible in the night sky, and this is the time to plant the rice seedlings in the nursery. Next one is the Mangsa Kapitu, the seventh season, when the Pleiades reach 50 degrees altitude rather, and this is where the main field transplanting begins. So the Mangsa Kasanga, the ninth season, is the star positions are combined with the insect calls, leaf fall, and the bird migration. So this is I read the books, this is state that this is a multi-sensory ecological intelligence.
Miss Princess,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt for a moment. We just want to remind you that we have about 7 minutes left.
All right.
Okay.
So I think I need to speed up. Sorry. So the stars were not only the so the sky were not only the sky guides. So the sun, the moon were actually equal fundamental, and here too. So the Philippine and Indonesian traditions here are in parallel. So now let me speak about the serpent in the sky, because nothing demonstrates the shared heritage of the Philippine and the Indonesian ethnoastronomy more vividly than the Naga tradition. So in the Philippines, the serpent has two forms. The laho, from the Sanskrit rahu, is the serpent that swallows the sun or the moon during an eclipse. In Tagalog, the kinain ng laho ang buwan. So the laho has eaten the moon. In Visayan, the bakunawa is the same creature. Where in an eclipse occurred, then a Filipino communities made noise, pounding pestles, rang bells, shot arrows into the sky to frighten the serpents into releasing the moon. So Ambrosio witnessed this personally in Tawi-Tawi. That was in October 1995. Also, it also the same with documentation by Fatima Orkiston and Hidayat. So in pre-Islamic beliefs incorporated into Islamic practice, which is the Kala Rahu in Java, this is the same demon that became the Filipino Laho, a 2,000-year journey from Hindu Buddhist India through the Malayan world, and in both our traditions simultaneously. Now, this is the Philippines and Indonesia are both archipelago nations. So the navigation was not optional, so it was existential. So the knowledge was held only on the memory of the elders. No written records. When Ambrosio went to Tawi-Tawi, he understood that this is a race against forgetting. So the Mandar of the West, Sulawesi, had their own 10-star navigation system, which is documented by Rashid Rashid et al. In 2021, including the Shark Star, the Goat Star, and the 3-star group. So they face the same crisis, not well known by the young Mandar fisherman. So as Ambrosio words, they could have written about the Badjao. Also, in the paper of Orkiston et al. In 2021, the maritime star knowledge of the Maduris, Bugis, and Mandar probably originated with the Austronesians. So, they shared the same sky, the same sea, and the same stars. So, neither of the two nations escaped colonial disruption in indigenous sky knowledge. So, and Ambrosia found that Kaingin farmers in the 20th century still using Balatik as a planting guide. So the knowledge went underground, but at least it is survived. But in Indonesia, the Dutch colonial astronomy documented Indonesian stars while marginalizing local names. So in the Islamic influence observed rather than erase the some pre-Hindu traditions such as the Manduris, which is the sleep ceremony in their tradition. So the Philippines responded with Ambrosio. The translation by Torres and De La Cruz also in 2021 opened this work to the world. So including in the Indonesian traditions who may now recognize this sky in these pages. So in a global context, our shared tradition is part of a global family of indigenous sky knowledge. So as you can see here, look at the table, the Philippine and in the Indonesian entries are at the top. So both colored distinctly because they are the focus of this presentation. So below them, the Maori of New Zealand celebrate Matariki, the Pleiades rising, as their New Year and planting signal. So same stars, the same function on the side of the Austronesian world. The Aboriginal Australians read the dark constellations, which is patterns in the Milky Way dust lanes, to know when the emos are laying eggs, or this is the kind of bird to them. So the Inca did the same in the Andes. So both Orion and Pleiades appear across virtually in every indigenous tradition on Earth. And this is not a cultural diffusion. So it is a new, I think this is a universal human response to the same compelling sky. So what Ambrosio showed here that the Filipinos or the Philippines and what the Indonesian scholars are now documenting is that each culture brought its own civilization to bear the shared sky and created something unique and irreplaceable. So from here, the Filipinos' awareness of the sky as environment, as Indonesian in Pranata Mangsa, holistically unified stars, sun, insect calls, leaf falls are the same. So the Philippine culture plays in the sky, which was also a Javanese farmers place their plow, the Burgess sailors place their stingray, the Balinese sailors place their boat, and this is mirroring the same culture but in a different tools. So here the stars as practical guide, which is the Pranata Mangsa still guides the Japanese farmers. The Bugis celestial navigation is being documented. The Maduri stars calendars are still active. And in a maritime tropical universe, the Indonesia's 17,000 island, the word Nusantara, the naga in the water and the sky are the same. So the stars are symbols of the national identity. The bintang on the Indonesian flag and the Garuda looking upward. Both nations are now reclaiming the indigenous sky knowledge as the colonial identity, which is the same for both of the countries. So, yeah, I think this is my last slide. So, in this way, Balatic has become more than a group of stars to the Filipinos, and it has become a pillar in the consciousness and civilization of the Filipinos and the sky in its entirety. And also, those same stars rise tonight over the Japanese rice fields, the Burgess sailing vessels, and the Maduri's fishing boats. So the sky belonged to all of us, and it always did. So maraming salamat po. Thank you and terima kasih. Kung tama po yung if I am correct. So
Yeah.
I think this is the last slide. Thank you.
Sama-sama, Miss Princess.
Thank
And thank you
you.
so much. That was a truly beautiful, rich, and eye-opening presentation. It's wonderful to see how the Balatic constellation is beautifully woven into the story, agriculture, and daily survival of the community.
Yes, correct. So if you really want to read on those papers I am referencing here, so you may want to search this on Google Scholar or in Connected Papers. So they are free to use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Princess. But before we get to the next agenda, allow me to explain a little in Indonesia, just in case anyone miss it or late to follow or something similar. Oke, jadi teman-teman sekalian, sedikit saya jelaskan dalam bahasa Indonesia, mungkin ada yang terlambat atau kurang paham dan sebagainya. Jadi balatik itu ternyata itu rasi bintang Orion, teman-teman sekalian. Jadi kalau di Filipina, balatik itu diartikan sebagai jebakan bambu, trap tadi, jebakan bambu tradisional atau untuk berburu babi hutan. Nah, di Indonesia itu dipakai sebagai alat tani. Bintangnya sama persis. Di Jawa itu ada namanya dinamakan waluku tadi, di Sunda juga bintang waluku dan di Bali serta Madura disebut dengan tenggala ya. Yang semuanya itu berarti alat bajak sawah, beda alat tapi fungsinya sama. Dan tidak cuma Orient tadi, di set terakhir juga membahas tentang bintang Pleiades. Di Filipina mereka menyebutnya Moroporo atau Mapolon. Kalau di tempat kita nih namanya lintang Kartika, teman-teman sekalian. Ini sudah ada di pelajaran etnoastronomi. Dalam budaya Jawa itu lintang Kartika atau bintang Kerti di Sunda. Dan tadi ada Rowot di Madura gitu. Bukan Rowon ya. Jadi sebagai penanda musim hujan. Nah, rasi ini juga terinspirasi dari legenda seperti tadi ditampilkan Jakatarup, ada 7 bidadari yang turun dari langit. Ternyata mitologi kita itu dan Filipina itu terkoneksi lewat bintang yang sama. We are under the same sky, the same star. Jadi semua kemiripan ini sebenarnya wajar karena kita punya satu akar yang sama. Karena tadi melalui migrasi rumpun Austronesia ribuan tahun yang lalu, dan memakai bahkan sampai kata-kata itu sama persis. Ada unsur alam langit, langit, bulan, bintang, angin, bahkan makhluk mitos seperti naga tadi juga disebutkan, terkandung. Okay, now my dear friends, we are officially opening our Q&A session. This is your golden opportunity to ask question or even share a story. If your own hometown has a similar traditional star sign, you can ask a question in 2 easy ways. First, via chat box, type your question using the format name and then question. You can write in English or Indonesia. I will help translate for Miss Princess. Or you can just use your raise hand button, and once I call your name, you can unmute and speak directly to our speaker. Jadi kita membuka sesi tanya jawab bisa melalui via kolom chat. Tulis pertanyaannya, jangan lupa tulis namanya, bisa dalam bahasa Inggris, bisa dalam bahasa Indonesia, atau langsung klik raise hand button. Kemudian nanti ketika dipanggil, mohon diaktifkan speakernya, mikrofonnya seperti itu. Don't be shy, everyone. The floor is open for your question. Oke, teman-teman sekalian, mungkin ada pertanyaan langsung diketik di kolom chat. Okay, before that, Miss Princess, I noticed on your slide that you beautifully highlight the connection between early Filipinos and Indonesian traditional, including our Javanese Pranata Mangsa, the Waluku constellation, and the maritime wisdom of the Bugis and Maduris. It is fascinating to see how the sky serves as a mirror for both of our civilization. My question is, in your research, what is the most striking or surprising similarity you found between how early Filipinos and Indonesians interpret the exact same constellation? And do you think that this is shared astronomical wisdom suggests that our ancestors shared the same seafaring or agricultural routes before migrating across Southeast Asia?
Yeah. So, what a wonderful question. Thank you for that. So I think, let me answer it directly. So, in the most striking and honestly hunting, which is in parallel, which is the Naga or the Bakunawa eclipse tradition. So, think about this, that what it requires for two separate people to independently arrive at the same response to an eclipse. So, which is a sky serpent swallows the moon and you make the noise to drive it away. So, the reason is, I think, is not a coincidence. So it shared the same ancestry. So as I read in the Sanskrit, Rahu demon traveled from India through the Malayan world of, or at least at years or 2,000 years ago. So it is the what strikes me the most. So this is not this is not the origin, but this is a survival. So both the Filipino Laho and the Indonesian Kala Rahu persisted through the Spanish Christianization and the Dutch colonialism and Islamic conversion, tucked inside the new ceremonies, wearing new names but unmistakably the same creature.
Okay, thank you for the answer. But due to the time constraints, Miss Princess, we will move on the first question from the
Yeah.
participant. We have first participant here, Mr. Haryadi Putraga.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, almost every question that I want to ask, but it's already answered by your presentation. But right now, I have something that I want to tell you. Almost reference from Indonesia that you take, or the Dr. Ambrosio take. I see it's from the Japanese culture. So I want to tell you something about we have in almost in separate archipelago also have different. I think right, a different culture about the Orient. As example, in Sumatra and at our position, especially North Sumatra, there's a race that called Bataknis. They have a calendar that had reference based on the rise of the Orion. They have calendar called I have forgot. Ingat Han, apa nama kalender Bataan? Lupa. I forgot about the name of the calendar. There's
Parhalaan.
Bataknis.
We call it Parhalaan.
Yeah,
Parhalaan
Parhalaan.
calendar.
There's from Bataknis race. There's called Parhalaan.
Mhm.
They are calendar based on the Orion rising, but they are using it as a start of the farming, not only for rice field.
Wow.
Because the North Sumatra, I think not before the colonization, they have reference from I think planting on farming, and also from my home country, from my home kampung, home village, my from Aceh, also has different use of the Orions. But I think I'm still searching about it,
Mhm.
and because pre-colonial is very difficult, and I see that's why I say almost question from my question already
Mhm.
answered. I only want to share to you about that. For also for information, Indonesia also not only full of rice. The main plantation is not from the rice gitu.
Mhm.
So it's, I think, around before 1990, almost some of the big island from Indonesia has different main plantation. So they have very different starting or reference place planting start season. I think something like that. Maybe that's all. I'm not asking a question. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
sharing.
yeah. Yeah, actually, that is a good it has a valuable addition to what I am discussing earlier. So thank you for that.
Wow, Mr. Haryadi's story was amazing. It's about the Batak calendar, Parhalaan. Thank you for the information. And he is one of the researchers at our observatory, Miss. So he is the researchers, and he is a smart people lah gitu, smart person gitu.
Wow.
And we still wait for the question, guys, especially for the student. We have the student here, Miss, from the Department of Astronomy from our faculty. So it is the good opportunity.
There's a question from chat, Rehan.
Oh, sorry, I will. Okay, this is the question from Cahyo P. Asmoro. So he asked about, are there still areas in the Philippines that utilize local wisdom regarding these constellations, whether for the agricultural purpose, religious observance, or directing finding?
Mm. Okay, so that is a wonderful and relevant question. So this question touches the very heart of what worried Ambrosio when he began his research. The answer is actually yes, it still exists, but with very uneven levels of survival depending on the region and the community. For example, in Teduray of Cotabato, or which is located in Mindanao, which is they are the most thoroughly documented community in this regard. In the research of Skegel, he documented their six-star Kaingin calendar system in 1967, and from the RT researchers, they still found elements of this practice is alive in community with the early 2000s. So the elderly farmers still remember when the Seritar or the Orion must be in a specific zone of the sky before the land clearing begin. So it is not written down anywhere, but it lives in the bodies and the memories of the old women and men in the region. I think one is also in Ifugao of Cordillera, which is they are here in the Philippines. They are famous rice terracing people. If you are heard with the Banawi rice terraces, so they are still maintain the ritual practices connected to lunar and stellar cycles for uh, timing the planting of the palay. So, or the palay is what we call the rice here. So, this is directly connected to their Muyong system. So, I think this is a highly structured private forest management. So, the sky, the forest, and the rice field are still understood as one integrated system by the elder practitioners.
Oke, jadi pada intinya bahwasanya Miss Princess menyampaikan masih ada beberapa praktisi di beberapa komunitas, tapi tidak secara tertulis atau hanya dipraktekkan begitu saja. Ada ritual praktisi ke bulan untuk menanam palai atau padi di sana, dengan mengoneksikannya dengan beberapa konstelasi bintang di sana. Oke, mungkin kita masih menunggu satu pertanyaan lagi. We open for the last question. If you guys have the question, you can ask in the via chat box, or you can raise your hand button and turn on your microphone. Okay, from Oif Su, please. Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Dimas from OIFOMSU. My question for the Miss Princess. The traditional Filipino communicators develop any astronomical instruments or observation methods associated with ballistic? Yes.
Let me think about it. Actually, that's a good question. So that is a fascinating question. So I think my my short answer is that there is no formal astronomical instrument in the Western sense, but does not mean that there were no observation methods. So in fact, the methods in Filipino used were sophisticated precisely because they were embodied the environmental rather than the instrumental. Thank you.
Oke, seperti itu tadi pada Bang Dimas. And Dimas is also one of the team at our place, especially serving
Wow.
visits and explaining to visitors.
Wow.
He is kind friendly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Princess.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the last question. What an inspiring, warm, and wonderful discussion we've had today. We have learned so much about how the stars above connect to our cultures here on Earth. Before we officially say goodbye, let's give a huge virtual round of applause to Miss Princess Bitusio for sharing your valuable time, wisdom, and knowledge with us today. Thank you, Miss Princess.
Thank
Salamat
you.
po. Salamat po.
Yes,
Right.
it is an honor for me to
Salamat
discuss
po.
the culture that I have here in Philippines. Thank you.
Yes, and we look forward to collaborating with you again in the future.
Yeah.
And also to
Sure.
to all of our fantastic participants for your great energy and question. As your moderator today, I sincerely apologize if I made any mistakes or any words during the event. Please, I just wanted to don't forget to fill out the attendance link in the chat box to claim your e-certificate. Jangan lupa untuk mengisi link kehadiran di kolom chat box yang telah kami share. Maybe we can take some photo for the documentation, Miss Princess. Mungkin kita bisa mengambil dokumentasi bersama. Mohon dibantu kepada tim untuk dokumentasinya. We will start and guys, please turn on your camera. We want to see your handsome and beautiful face.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, picture ya. Okay. One more.
For the sign U, this is for our campus, University Muhammadiyah Sumatera Utara. Yes. In 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay, and this is the last. Good afternoon, Miss Princess. Stay safe and thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Nice meeting you.
Yes. Salamat po.
Thank you. Permission to leave. Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you, Tamat Princess. Yeah.
Bye, Cindy.
Let's stop.
See ya.
Bye. Let's stop later, yeah?
Yes.
Hopefully we can meet in person in the future.
Bye. Yes.